Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and in this video I'm going to be doing a review of the album Infernal Connection by the thrash metal band Acid Drinkers. This album was released in 1994, but I am not sure what number album this one is. I'm not very familiar with this band's discography. In fact, this is really the only album I've heard so far. Anyway. So this review is actually a requested review, and the review was requested by YouTube user, and I'm sorry if I get your name if I pronounce it wrong, Don Domenico Selgia. Yeah. Again, sorry for the wait, but it took me a while to actually buy this, and it took a lot longer than I thought in general just to get this review out. Anyway. So before I get into the songs, I'm going to name off the band members really quickly. If I could find... oh, here we go. Titus on vocals and bass. Litza on guitars and guitar and vocals, Popcorn on guitar, and Slimek on drums and backing vocals. And then there were a couple of guest musicians as well, but those are the main ones. Alright, so the album starts off with the song Magnetic. How do you even say this word? Hypernagmatic. There we go. Not magnetic. What is this word? Hypernematic. Oh, there we go. Hypernematic stuff of Mr. Nothing. Very bizarre title. The actual instrumentation is great. I love the production on pretty much the album as a whole. Great riffing, really good solo. Instrumentation wise it's fine, but like with almost every song on here, spoiler, the vocals are weird. Like, they're very inconsisent and all over the place. Like, 1 minute it go, like I'll actually explain. I'll actually tell you my thoughts on the vocals after talking about the rest of the songs, just because I have a lot to say about these vocals. But yeah, instrumentation wise, it's a great song. Anybody Home is okay. The Joker's really good instrumentation wise. Very cool solo. And everything else. Next one is track time 66.6 seconds, and that's pretty much what it is. It's a song that's 66.6 seconds long, and it's pretty forgettable. Drug Dealer's a pretty decent one. Again, instrumentation's pretty decent, but the vocals are just, again, all over the place. But then we get to my favorite song on here, though. Blow and Stoned, / Method of Yonish. This one's a very cool song. It's definitely the heaviest song on the entire album. It's a more slower mid-paced song than the more fast-paced songs on most of the on the rest of the album. There's this very cool, very slow, very heavy guitar sound. The riffs are great. The solo is great. It has just kind of like a slightly epic feel to it. And the vocals are actually consistent this time. They're not all over the place like a lot of the other songs. They're just one thing. They're pretty much they're like a standard like 90s mid 90s thrash metal shouts, but kind of mixed in with almost like Phil Anselmo style of vocals. Like it's a very interesting style, but at least it's consistent throughout the rest of throughout the entirety of the song. That's what I like about it. You know, the instrumentation and the vocals are good and consistent. Um, but yeah, so really great song. Absolutely love it. The next song is also really good. My second favorite on here, "Dancing in the Slaughterhouse." What another great song! Another heavy song, not quite as heavy as the previous one, but still pretty heavy, and the vocals are also consistent again. Yeah, just another fantastic song. Um, let's see. IQ Psycho is a pretty forgettable song. Backyard Bandit is also pretty forgettable. Infernal Connection starts off the chain of another great song. The intro bit is kind of meh. Like it starts off kind of underwhelming with a weird vocal bit, but then it kicks into the actual song, and the actual song is awesome. My third favorite song on here. But yeah, the title track is great, despite the intro portion not being kind of weird. And then Cosmonaut is okay. So I do have my overall thoughts. Like my overall thoughts, I have a lot more of than my thoughts in terms of individual songs. It's just one of those albums. Um, but so the instrumentation on a lot of these songs is great. I love the instrumentation. Very great riffing, great solos. I love the heaviness, especially on the songs Slow and Stoned and Dancing in the Slaughterhouse. The heaviness is great. The production is great. My only major complaint is the vocals. The vocals, for the most part, on most of the songs, are all over the place. Like it's like the vocalist couldn't decide what he wanted to do with his vocal performance in most of these songs. Like in like for example, in a song, wait, hold on, excuse me. All right, sorry about that. Anyway, so like for example, there's multiple times in a single song where the vocals change multiple times. Like there's like the standard 90s thrash metal style shouting, then it just can change to like very weird sort of almost like very low, almost inaudible mumbling to just very weird, like just a very weird sort of vocal tone to something else and another thing. Like I don't know why. Like like I said, I feel like a lot of times the vocalists couldn't decide what path they wanted to go with their vocal performance. That's really my major complaint about this album. It's something that it just does annoy me. Not enough to not enjoy the instrumentation within these songs, but definitely enough to where it's just like, pick a style and stick with it. And that's what one of the things I love about both Below and Stoned and Dancing in the Slaughterhouse is that the vocals are one consistent style. Um and yeah, there's a couple of songs on here that aren't really that memorable, but the few songs that are great. I'd say probably the highlights of here are definitely in terms of I'd say Below and Stone, Dancing in the Slaughterhouse, Infernal Connection, The Joker, and to a certain extent Anybody's Home, and also Hypernagmatic Stuff of Mr. Nothing. So now I'm just gonna get into the artwork and then sort of my rating. The artwork is another bizarre thing about this album. I have no idea what the hell they were on when they decided this artwork. Like, look at it. It is bizarre. It's just like a frozen turkey with a Venom shirt on. And then the title of the album is sort of there. Like, it's like literally half the title. The album is called Infernal Connection, but it only has the word connection on there, so it's half the title. I don't know. They might they might have been under the influence when designing this cover. I don't know. Because it's just bizarre. The logo is kind of generic. It's just a very generic looking logo that's just meh. The flip side is even weirder. It's the frozen turkey again with a shirt on, but this time it says "Baby Kiss Me." So yeah, I have no idea what they were thinking when making these covers. Like it's bizarre, weird, and also kind of stupid. It doesn't really, in my opinion, doesn't really reflect the music on the album. Like, I think the best album covers should not only look good, but also be a good representation of what the music is like in the album. And this is neither of that. You do get a pretty cool looking CD though. I love the design of this, and then you get the pamphlet. Although the actual band member photos are actually cool. They're kind of creepy too. They look like almost kind of like, I don't know. It's just a very cool sort of creepy band photos. Really awesome looking. I do love these photos. They definitely sort of make up for the shit album art, honestly. Like, these are just cool, creepy looking. So, my overall rating, I'm probably gonna give this, a 7 out of 10. I would have given it maybe a little higher if, the vocals weren't that inconsistent, on most of the songs. But like I said, there are definite aspects of this album that I absolutely love. Again, the instrumentation is great pretty much throughout the entirety of the album. Great riffs, great solos. I love the production too. Like it's not too over. It's the more modern production, but it's not too overly produced or anything like that. And I love the heaviness too. The heaviness on this album is great. And again, especially on the middle portion of the album with the two songs there. But I really wished, like, again, I would have given this a little higher rating if the vocals for most of the songs were a lot more consistent. Yeah. I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10. Definitely an album I would definitely, listen to from time to time. The vocals aren't that crazy or out there that are annoying me so much to the point where I can't listen to the songs, but I just wish they were, a little bit more consistent. Yeah, definitely a solid album and enjoyable for the most part. And sorry I didn't go through the songs individually that much. I don't know. It's just one of those albums that just the album as a whole caught my attention rather than most of the individual songs. Yeah. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.